All right. All right, I think it's time to get into it. A pretty pressing topic for most creators, if I do say so myself. And I'm surprised it's not talked about more, but we're gonna get into it today. Just gotta upload one more thing to YouTube. This is gonna be pretty quick because I still have to get into new music later on. So I'm gonna touch on this topic and then we're gonna get into new music. But this topic definitely needs to be touched on. All right, do I have it saved? Shout out to my people over at Twitch and YouTube. Shout out to my people over at Wisdom. I definitely appreciate you joining me live for this topic. Because let me tell you, a lot of people have hit me up. And apparently, this is something that just goes unchecked and nobody says anything. It's kind of crazy. All right. Let me get this in. Oh, okay, I guess I just didn't save it. I'm about to say, I know I made the thumbnail. Alrighty. Should I put the live? We're already live, so we're just gonna put this up. This should probably work. Okay, for my people over at Wisdom, just know that when I get into my segment form, you probably won't hear some of the other sound effects because I have some sound effects going into this, and also I'm showcasing some things on the screen. So if you're not following my Twitch or YouTube at Analytic Dreams, then you probably won't get the video aspect. Well, not probably, you won't get the video aspect. And what I'm gonna play at the beginning of this segment before I start will be a clip from the one and only J Prince, just to show the severity of this topic, and then I'm gonna get into it. So you're gonna hear most of the audio, but this is my first time trying this type of streaming. So, well, this streaming style, because I'm live in a lot of places right now. So we're gonna see if I can balance this. But first, okay, we have restream. Okay, I need that. I don't need that. Don't need this anymore. Don't need that anymore. Alrighty, don't need that anymore. There was one more thing I was trying to look at. Oh, Twitch. I wonder if I can bring it up on my laptop. Usually I read the Twitch off the people who's joining Twitch on my my phone. But let's see if I can do it from my laptop. Hopefully I can. Okay, nah, it's not showing me. Let me just do it from my phone. So the people on Wisdom, if you hear any extra audio, it may be from my actual phone, because for some reason, it takes audio from my mic and from my phone. So, yeah. But anyways, I gotta shout my people out who's joined over at Twitch, because I love how Twitch shows me the names. I think it's pretty neat. Alright, let me turn off the music for this because we're going to get right into it. We're about to get right into it. Make sure I have this up. Okay, yeah. Alright, we're good to go. So the people stopping by over at Twitch, appreciate you. 01 Ella, Drap Snat, Kata, I definitely appreciate you joining us live. Just know my social medias is in the bottom middle of the screen, and those are all my socials, of course, where I post daily. For my people over at YouTube, just know that it doesn't show me the list of names, so I can't really read them off. And since it's the first time really live streaming and being live on Wisdom, I guess I could shout out the names on Wisdom, but I don't know if they'll want that because I feel like live streaming is more. Well, live streaming on Twitch is more of a interactive experience, video wise. And audio wise, you just tuning in to see what the person's saying. So I'm not gonna shout y'all out, you know what I mean? Not because I don't like it, of course, but just I don't want to put y'all on blast like that. I don't know if y'all really want to be shouted out, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, okay. Let me bring up the chat. Give me 1 second. I gotta pick up my phone again. Y'all probably people over at Wisdom probably hear it every time I bring out my phone. It's kind of crazy. Okay. Let me see if this changed. My thumbnail should have changed. Yeah, okay, it did. Cool. All right, let me make sure it's going. I think we straight over here. Yeah, we are. Cool. Alrighty, let's get into it. So basically, this whole thing is going to be a segment over, of course, you guessed it, the title says it, Spotify versus playlist curators. I put podcast deleted in parentheses because, of course, my podcast isn't deleted. But for people's podcasts who are deleted, it'd make it easier in the search bar for them to search it up. Because this topic, for some reason, it's not talked about to the masses. Maybe they're scared of Spotify. I don't know, but hopefully y'all can hear me over at Wisdom. I see the levels and it's going up, so I'm pretty sure y'all are hearing something. But let me know if it's too low, too loud. And as always, as far as like the Wisdom feature, y'all can definitely join in, give y'all 2 cents, whatever you want to say, because I can still hear on the Wisdom app. I have like earphones in for that. So if y'all want to join in and be a guest, I can edit it and put it in after the fact on my podcast platforms. But as far as the live streaming aspect, it's kind of a twofold thing. So Twitter and YouTube, y'all get the video aspect, but if a guest joins and wants to give their 2 cents or opinion or whatever, then you have to come over to Wisdom, and that's if you go on the app store and you type in Wisdom, you'll see how should I even describe it? A blue and white with the silhouette of Albert Einstein. I don't know if that's complicated. Just look up the Wisdom Talk app and it should pop up because there's no other apps like Wisdom. So if you join that, then you can hear the guests who tune in live. And of course, if you're not able to catch the whole live stream session, just know after the fact, it will be uploaded in the talks section on my Wisdom app, and it will be uploaded in the archives of my YouTube and Twitch. All right. With that out the way, let's get into how do I want to position my mic? Hold up. Because, of course, my regular mic I can put anywhere. But as far as my Wisdom mic, I want to make sure I'm speaking into it. And by speaking into it, I need to move my table like this way. Let's do that. Okay. So I'm pretty sure y'all can still hear me. I'm looking at it. Yeah. All right. That's cool. Because, of course, I don't want nobody feeling left out. Because it's my first time doing this process, so we're gonna see if it's too much or if it's just right. So anyways, of course y'all see the topic, so let's get into it. For the people over at Wisdom, I'm gonna play a little audio, is it excerpt, I don't know, at the beginning to kind of set the mood, set the tone, you know what I mean, and then I'm gonna get into my segment. So basically how this works is I'm gonna be talking about Spotify versus playlist curators, and of course you can join if people who are listening on Wisdom want to join during the session while I'm talking about it. I'll prefer to be on topic, and whatever you have to add to it be about the subject. Because if not, I would prefer you to save that to after. But if it is pertaining to the topic, then of course jump in. Because I like to say all the time, this is a safe space. You know what I mean? Open dialogue. So. Anyways, let's get into it. Okay, where's it at? Alrighty, so I'm starting my segment now.
I'm gonna just say this to you. Don't never put me in no position where, I have to defend myself. You know what I mean? That wouldn't be healthy for you. And, I have to say that. I hate, but it's $1 million worth of game. You know what I mean? It's $1 million worth of game, and I'm going to give it to him right on $1 million worth of game because I ain't gonna throw rocks and hide my hand. I'm gonna just let it be known, to him because I hear what's being said. And it's all love after that. Peace.
Now, this is a topic that's been lingering for a while, and I knew I would have had to make this segment because I'm definitely starting over. For the people tuning in live, hey, just notice how it goes. Sometimes I start a segment and I mess up. Let me see. I gotta get my thoughts together. I mean, I know what I'm gonna say, but I gotta get my intro together. All right, let's delete that. Alrighty, let's start one more time. Should I just put the excerpt in after the fact? I think I may do that. Yeah, okay. So I can just start from jump. Okay. Actually, for the people listening live, I'm gonna do it live. So let's run that back. What is that? Okay. Alrighty, take two. It was like the director's thing. I don't have that, but you get the point. Take two.
I'm gonna just say this to you. Don't never put me in no position where, I have to defend myself. You know what I mean? That wouldn't be healthy for you. And, I have to say that. I hate, but it's $1 million worth of game. You know what I mean? It's $1 million worth of game, and I'm going to give it to him right on $1 million worth of game because I ain't going to throw rocks and hide my hand. I'm going to just let it be known, to him because I hear what's being said. And it's all love after that. Peace.
As you heard, the great Jay Prince said the infamous quote, which I'm paraphrasing, of course, because I don't want to say the full thing, but all you need to know is that it wouldn't be healthy for you. Because all I want to say is that this issue has been lingering for a lot of creators for quite some time, but for some reason, nobody wants to speak out about how Spotify is treating its playlist curators. Now, unless you're a rap caviar, or unless you're new music, or unless you're one of the main tabs on Spotify, as far as when you go to the playlist section, you're a local or just a independent playlist curator. And for the independent playlist curators that create a buzz and create enough downloads to increase revenue, it gets to a point where Spotify notices it. Only Spotify, not Apple Music, not Amazon, not Google Podcasts, not Stitcher Radio. Only Spotify, for some strange reason, finds it and clips it without any warning. They'll send you some email talking about a takedown notice because of content violation or all the rules that they love to throw at you for no reason. But for the most part, there are people who break the rules as far as playlist curating, and there's also reviewers, because I've heard it myself from other people. This is not a topic that I just thought of and wanted to talk about. This has been lingering for quite some time now. And I say lingering because my podcast, The Notorious Mass Effect on Spotify, I used to go under Anchor. And if you've noticed by now, I was an Anchor ambassador. But at this point, with my podcast, I am under Red Circle. So I'm ambassador of Red Circle podcast hosting. So for Anchor, there's a specific reason why Anchor treats their playlist curators like this. Now, am I calling myself a playlist curator? No. But the problem is specifically targeted towards playlist curators, because I've ran into this problem, and I would consider myself just a content creator, not a playlist curator. Because in general, I'm talking about gaming, I'm talking about hip hop, and the titles I'm using is tracks that I'm reviewing, if that makes sense. But for some other people who actually break the rules and play music fully, like literally they'll have the full song on there, like that's unreleased, all that other stuff. They of course are blatantly breaking the rules in the fair use law, right? But for people who just review the tracks and then go on about their day, should not be targeted in the way that Spotify targets them, because Anchor knows what they're doing by having these quote unquote anonymous reports to take down your whole entire podcast, no questions asked. Now, I've had 3 separate times that I had to upload my podcast as far as the entirety. Right? I had the first time back in 2020 when I first started. And then last year, middle of last year, I had to redo my podcast again because it was taken down by Anchor. And in that point, it was like, okay, you know, I mean, I did have some back then, you know, I had some segments that I feel like maybe wasn't like, if I wasn't as knowledgeable about the situation that I am now, because I wouldn't have took that stance back when it first got deleted. But the second time, I knew something was up because they took it down immediately after I reviewed. It was like a Billie Eilish track, I believe, and it was no music, just me reviewing it, and I did that for a reason. So for when they took it down, now I have an actual ground to stand on. And now my third time uploading it is under Red Circle. So for all my Spotify listeners, I need you to know that if you want to listen to my podcast, I would highly suggest you follow my Linktree and follow my Apple Podcasts or my Amazon podcast, because if you haven't noticed, I've taken off all my other podcasts, like from the old episodes, except for Amazon Music. So if you want some of the old episodes I used to do from like 2020, 2021, 2022, they're all on Amazon for a reason. Because there's a reason why Spotify is the one targeting podcasts who have listings like mine. Now, of course, if you go through my podcast listing and my episodes, you will see track names. But if you click on it, what do you hear? You hear me giving my review, and then that's it. But the way the algorithm works for Spotify is they notice the track listing and they automatically assume it's a playlist and they completely take it down, no questions asked. And at first, I was thinking that this whole situation was my fault, because I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't even have the title like that. Maybe I should just put like Notorious Mass Effect in the beginning. And so I did some research because of course I wanted to be well versed in this situation. But when I came to this article, which my Twitch and YouTube viewers would be able to see, for the people over at Wisdom, you won't be able to see this, but basically it reads, Spotify playlist curators complain about ongoing abuse. Abuse is a perfect word to say right here. Ongoing abuse that favors bad actors over innocent parties. And that's my whole point about this segment. There's people who blatantly upload full unreleased songs knowing what they're doing is breaking the law. And then there's people like me who may have the title of a new track, but the complete entirety of it is me giving my personal review. And by the algorithmic reporting system, it's taken down, no questions asked. Like the whole entire podcast. Like I've had episodes of me covering games, old, new, upcoming games. Literally my last episode, not last, but my episode 114, you can literally look this up right now, and on Spotify, I believe. My top games, no, my favorite game of 2022, and my review of the Game Awards. If you look up Game Awards Notorious Mass Effect, it should pop up on whatever podcast platform you use. So basically, this is why I wanted to go through this article, because it says, and I'm not quoting, but I'm basically going to paraphrase through the article or skim through it. So the gist of it is, a lot of Spotify, and this is specific to Spotify, so this is why I switched hosting platforms, because at first I thought it was me. I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I hear other people just blatantly playing music and they're not taken down, and I'm just talking about music, I'm getting taken down. I don't understand. So then a number of Spotify playlist curators are complaining that the streaming music company is not addressing the ongoing issue of playlist abuse, which sees bad actors That's the keyword, bad actors, which is anonymous, by the way, because we're going to get into my back and forth email replies to Spotify. And it wasn't even like nothing like, why y'all do this and why y'all do that. It was like a very respectful way of approaching the takedown notice. It was basically asking why it was taken down so I can avoid doing that in the future. And the answer they gave me was basically like a generic response because it came like seconds after I upload that. So it was like, okay, I can't even get. And then if you respond to that email, they say, oh, you have to email our Spotify podcast creator section. But then you email them and you never get a reply. You never get a reply from the Spotify podcast content creators help site or whatever they try to throw on you. But yeah, so basically Spotify just throws you in a loop and doesn't give you any answers to what you did. So currently, playlists created by Spotify users specifically can be reported in the app for a variety of reasons, like sexual, violent, dangerous, deceptive, or hateful content, amongst other things. And then the playlist in question will have its metadata immediately removed. Now, I don't know too much about the justice system, which I'm lying. I cover hip hop all the time, so I know a lot about it. But you never see immediately or immediate just prosecution. Like, it always takes some time. I mean, just look at what happened with the Meg Thee Stallion situation and what happened with the murder of XXX Tentacion. Of course, I'm using hip hop examples, but that's what I cover. So that's the biggest examples that come up about the justice system taking a long time to prosecute people who are obviously guilty. So basically, Spotify immediately removes it, right? And then, including this, the description and custom image is also taken down. And there's no legitimate verification process. There's no, hold on, let me just quote this verbatim. There is no eternal review process that verifies the report is legitimate before the metadata is removed. And that is my biggest problem with podcasting under Anchor. So now I'm gonna come back to that article, but now I'm gonna jump to let me see if I can find this, where I reached out to the podcast support. Literally, they told me to reach out to podcast support, and this is what I said. Basically, I said, I am reaching out to get help with the copyright situation when concerning the Notorious Mass Effect podcast because I need help knowing why this podcast keeps getting taken down and how I can prevent it from happening. So that's not like aggressive. That's not like, why'd y'all take it down? Forget y'all better fix this. It wasn't none of that. It was just asking so I don't cross that line again, And guess what? Guess what happened? There was no reply. Instead, another email replied to me, and I feel like this is a bot because this doesn't even make any sense. It says, hello there. Thanks for reaching out to us. We understand that your podcast keeps getting removed. Let us check this out. And then in the same email, it's not like let us check this out. And then they sent another email like, oh, we checked this. This is how I know it was a bot. It said, let us check this out. In the same email, it's come to our attention that your podcast is potentially violating our terms and conditions. Do y'all realize how crazy that sounds? Like, if I was just blatantly putting like Nazi images or praising Adolf Hitler, I would understand. But if I'm just reviewing music and talking about gaming, I feel like the bots that are going over my podcast are completely skipping that. But if I'm reviewing music and gaming, potentially violating our terms and conditions, therefore, unfortunately, it has been taken down. So because it thinks that I potentially violated the terms and conditions, it's just immediately taken down. All your hard work, all the, for me, like, I have other platforms that I do well on, so it's not as like for other creators, I feel like this should be more of an issue, and I don't know why I'm the only one speaking out about it. But for me, I have other social medias where revenue comes in from, but my podcast is a pretty what's the word? A pretty big platform. I would say, like, for myself, like, independently. So they just took all that down. Now, of course, I have my podcast now under Red Circle and we're doing fine. Shout out for the we just did 20,000 downloads this week. But anyways, I'm not trying to throw numbers out there. But basically, what I'm trying to say is Spotify abuses its system to taking down podcasts completely. And the reason I'm saying Spotify specifically does this is because I've had run-ins with TikTok and YouTube with copyright, but guess what happens? I just take the video down. If you upload something to YouTube, they immediately tell you if it's blocked or if it's partially blocked or if something's copyrighted. And guess what I do? I take it down. I don't leave it up and be like, man, forget y'all, I'm putting this up anyway, because I'm a law-abiding citizen. I say that on my podcast all the time. Like, I'm not out here trying to break the rules to make money. If I would have did that, I would have started selling drugs on the street. Like, there's other ways to make money illegally way faster than podcasting. You know what I mean? But anyways, back to my point. For the most part, I don't understand this whole process from Spotify. So they completely take it down, no questions asked, because of potentially violating our terms and conditions. So that's just crazy to me. So going back, let's switch back to the article, right? We're going to get back to that back and forth because that was the first article. So we're definitely coming back to that because they ended the article with, can you confirm if you received an email, which I did. And then they said, if you received one, we recommend replying to that email for more information regarding the takedown. And I just told y'all, that's the first email I sent out. That's the first email that I basically email. I don't know why I'm a loss for words, but that's the first email that I emailed. Hopefully that makes sense. But and I didn't get a reply. That's what I started with. So anyways, back to the article. Okay. So, and then this is when I got to find it. This is what I figured out by doing a little bit of research, because this article is definitely buried. I wonder who's doing that, but that's besides the point. So going from, and this is TechCrunch, by the way, so this isn't some just random article I'm pulling up, but I do have some user experiences that I'm gonna pull up in a second off of Reddit, but this is like a actual company putting up this article. The problem is not new, talking about the Spotify playlist curators thing. Users have been complaining about playlist abuse for years, mind you, and I haven't seen a episode or anything just specifically breaking down the straight up just violation of podcasters on the Spotify platform. I mean, of course, Joe Budden talked about it, but that's a whole different situation. Like, how you gonna, it's a whole different situation. But this, like, specifically for playlist curators, they're just violating our rights. I don't want to be like that person, be like, man, my rights are not being respected. But like, come on, man, like you can't just take down a whole entire podcast because of potentially violating copyright. But anyways, let's get back to the article. Users have been complaining about playlist abuse for years. A thread on Spotify's community forum about this problem, this specific problem, mind you, is now 30 pages deep. So this is why I'm like, why has nobody made an episode about this on YouTube, whatever, took to the other social media platforms? Because for me, when I upload this is going everywhere. So Spotify want to take it down off of their platform, which, they probably will. But it's still going to be up on Apple, Amazon, all through my Linktree, shameless plug, Linktree in bio. Best way to keep up with me if Spotify takes me down, which they probably will after this. So this problem is now 30 pages deep. In fact, it has accumulated over 330 votes. So it's not just me. I was just like, bro, what am I doing wrong? Like, on Black History Month too, they took down my second time uploading my whole podcast on not even Black History Month. I think it was Martin Luther King Day. So I think that is Martin Luther King Day before I think it is before February. So on Martin Luther King Day, they took down my podcast. It was like they was just plotting on me. You know what I mean? But anyways, we're gonna get back to it. Victims of this type of harassment, which that's definitely what I would call it, have also repeatedly posted to social media about Spotify's broken system to raise awareness of the problem more publicly. Now, I haven't really seen that, but they have an example here that I must shout out. For example, one curator last year noted the playlists have been, hopefully y'all can hear me. I'm trying to read from the screen and talk to the people over at Wisdom. So hopefully y'all can still hear me. I know the people over at Twitch and YouTube can. So yeah, I think we good. Okay. Victims of this type of harassment have also repeatedly posted to social media about Spotify's broken system to raise awareness of the problem more publicly. For example, one curator last year, when was this article posted? In 2021. So this was 2020. Back when I started my first podcast. That's crazy. Lost my place. One curator last year noted their playlist had been reported over 2,000 times. Now that's excessive. That's a lot. And they said they were getting a new email about the reports nearly every minute. That's a common problem, and one that seems to indicate bad actors are leveraging bots to submit their reports. Now, I have heard of other playlist curators specifically targeting independent playlist curators to get their playlist shut down so theirs receive more shine. Now, do I think that specifically happened to me? No, because when I reached out to Spotify support, they was on that same type of timing that whoever. Well, I think it was I honestly think it's the algorithm that goes through and just looks that if you have track listings, then you're just playing music, like just off the bat. So anyways, yeah, that's one thing that I saw that theory being thrown around, but I think that's less likely than this one. But anyways, we do have a actual person who uploaded. So I guess this person did tweet on November 30th, 2020. He said, "Hi, I don't know who this is. Who is this? Hopefully nothing crazy pops up. I'm not trying to get banned. Author, music, jokes. I don't know what he does. Anyways, we're going to go back to this. But he has somebody. He said, hi at somebody. For my Twitch and YouTube people, you can see it. For the people over at Wisdom, you won't be able to see it unless you come over to Twitch or YouTube at Analytic Dreams. Shameless plug. Looking for help. So many curators and artists are suffering because of constant, groundless playlist reports on Spotify. Some are being hit systematically and repeatedly, which is where I feel like I fit in. And then Spotify cares and distributors are aware of what's going on, but nothing is being done. It is 2023, and this tweet was posted November 30th, 2020. Spotify does not care about any local independent playlist curator because this problem keeps happening, and I think they know it's happening but turn a blind eye because the ones that are sponsored by Spotify, the playlists that are sponsored by Spotify that are actually playing music, they want all the shine to go to them, which I definitely understand. But if I'm putting track listing on my podcast, basically listing off tracks, but I'm reviewing them, not playing any music, it should not be targeted simply because it has the same title as that actual song. It should be if you're actually playing music or playing the entire track. So anyways, let's get back into it. So many curators say they've repeatedly reached out to Spotify for help with this issue and were given no assistance. Now, that's when I want to transition back to my back and forth with podcast support, with Spotify support. So basically, they said the whole thing. I'm not gonna regurgitate that whole thing, but basically, my response was, that was my other podcast. I'm talking about my current music. This is me emailing them. I wanted some clarification so it doesn't happen again. That was my other podcast. I'm talking about my current podcast, and I'm wondering what I can do to stop having it taken down. Pretty simple question. It's not like, oh, I'm trying to break the law. Why don't you let me? It's like, how can I avoid this from happening again? And guess what they say? Thanks for getting back to us. We're afraid our resources are limited with this kind of query. Thanks for getting back to us. We're afraid our resources are limited with this kind of query. So if my podcast gets taken down again, after me reaching out, trying to understand, because I'm not playing any music, I'm just talking about tracks, right? So I'm like, if a guy talking about music and gaming is getting taken down, then what are they doing to the people who actually like out here breaking the law? Like hopefully they're catching them too. It's kind of like when you get pulled over by the cop, but you're not doing anything. You're like, why are you not pulling over that man going 40 over the speed limit? You know what I mean? But anyways, basically what I'm saying is the support was not there. Basically they said feel free to get back to us if there's anything that we can help with. Don't you just despise that type of customer support? Like, bro, what type of customer support tells you that our resources are limited with this kind of query? I'm not even making this up. This is strictly, I wish I could put this up. I don't know if would I dox anybody if I, because I don't want y'all to think I'm making this up. Let me see if I can put this up. Yeah, here, let me just put this up because y'all gonna think I'm making this up. So the people over at Twitch and YouTube, y'all be able to see this. Look at this. Look at this right here. Thanks for getting. You can. I just put it on the screen for you to see, so you know I'm not. Look, I'm scrolling up down, so y'all don't think like it's not no picture, not no. I'm not photoshopping anything. I will go to my inbox, but you know I got personal stuff in there. I don't think I have personal stuff on here right now. Nah, I don't. Okay, cool. That was my other podcast. Yeah, basically I talked about my other podcast, stuff like that. Thanks for the reply, stuff like that. They said, thanks for getting back. We're afraid our resources are limited with this kind of query. The best recommendation we can provide you is to reply to our content team's email, since they're the ones who handles this kind of issue. Now that's the first place I went, and how come that's the first place I went, but they emailed me? And now I'm asking them a specific question, and they're trying to send me back to the email that didn't respond in the first place. So now that you see it on the screen, you can see why I'm kind of frustrated. You know, it's like the I don't want to use the phrase because it's explicit, and this is definitely a PG podcast. But basically, it's like you're y'all know the first part. All I'm gonna say is the second part. You're telling me it's raining. You know what I mean? It's like something's happening, and you're just telling me it's raining. Hopefully y'all get that reference. If you don't, you may be too young. But anyways, so at this point, I'm like upset. I'm like, how am I gonna do this again? Like, I don't even know if they're gonna follow me. Granted, they did for my second time, and of course they took that down. You know what I mean? I asked, and then they still took it down. And this is my third time putting it up with Red Circle, and they've been nothing but the best. You know, they've been helping me out a lot with my content creation, and I reached out to them, and then that's when they told me that this was an ongoing problem for Anchor, which is why some of them transfer over and they switch hosting. And I never knew that. Only time I ever heard about anybody switching from Anchor is to monetize more, cross promotion or something like that, which Red Circle does. But I'm not really into cross promoting. You know, maybe I will in the future, but for right now, it's just like trying to work on making my content better, basically, in what I'm saying. So anyways, yeah, I didn't get no assistance. I just put it on the screen. I asked them. They basically told me, hey, we don't know, man, and our resources are limited with this type of question. Basically, they told me, hey, that specific question you're asking, we can't help you, but if you want to go to our contact team that you probably already emailed and they didn't respond to, then hey, so be it. You know what I mean? They just don't care. So that's why I'm glad this article was made by TechCrunch and other curators. As you can see, many curators say they've repeatedly reached out to Spotify for help with this issue and were given no assistance. So it's the same thing that I'm currently going through. Well, not currently, because I'm up under Red Circle. Spotify's probably going to take my podcast down because, you know, they're going to be hating again. But, you know, at the end of the day, the way that I can get my downloads consistently back up every time I post, it makes me understand that there's an actual base. And in my YouTube following and my TikTok following, makes me feel like there's an actual base that translates over to different social medias. So I'm not too concerned about that. If podcasts is like, imagine I upload my podcast again the second time, right? Because I'm on my third time. But this is under Red Circle. So it's my first time under Red Circle, so I'm not really too worried. But my second time uploading again under Anchor. Imagine if that got like 0 downloads, nobody was listening when it used to be 8,000 downloads a week. You know what I mean? That would be very discouraging to an up and coming podcaster, not knowing how to navigate this space. So specifically for me, with me in my numbers being back to where it was on Red Circle. I mean, like I just said, I had 20,000 downloads this week. I'm used to getting 8,000 a week. So it's like, if that type of support wasn't there, then I could see podcasters and content creators stopping before they ever got going. You know what I mean? Just stopping and quitting before they ever got to the point where they needed to be. Because I don't feel like I'm at the point I need to be to address this type of issue, but I'm doing it because I feel like other creators are out there with the same issue, but are not speaking up because they feel like nobody cares. So that's why I'm putting this out there. And when I eventually post this after the fact to my Spotify, well, I mean Spotify, of course, but my other podcast platforms, we're gonna see what their reaction is to this. But anyways, y'all can probably see why some content creators are very upset by how Spotify specifically is attacking these playlist curators. Because as you see through this article, no other platform has treated the content creators like this. All right, what else? One curator who maintains hundreds of playlists said the problem had gotten so bad that they created an iOS app to continually monitor the playlist for this sort of abuse and to reinstate any metadata once a takedown was detected. Oh, that's pretty smart. I haven't got to that point because, you know, what I do is like update and news type stuff. So I want, like, imagine me uploading, like, what I upload back in the day. Like, imagine me uploading a Lil Baby, what was that song called? The George Floyd song that Lil Baby put out. It was I don't know why I can't remember. I'm just gonna type in Lil Baby George Floyd song. I bet you it's gonna pop up. This track was so phenomenal. Like probably one of the best tracks like that's been put out in the past 5 years. Like I'm not even exaggerating. Like the track that Lil Baby put out way back in the day about the whole George Floyd situation. The bigger picture. Yeah. When I started my podcast and reviewed that, imagine me re-releasing that now. They'd be like, bro, you're like 3 years late. You know what I mean? Like for me, it's more up to date content, so I'm never really worried about that. But for people who actually upload music, which I feel like that's actually illegal, but that's a whole nother tangent for them to do. For me, I'm talking about the legal space. But yeah, just imagine me uploading like old reviews. Like it's not gonna work. So what else? Not all curators have the ability to build an app or script of their own to deal with the situation. And boy, are they telling the truth. What else? Okay, TechCrunch asked Spotify what it planned to do about this problem, but the company declined to provide specific details, saying, quote, as a matter of practice, we will continue to disable accounts that we suspect are abusing our reporting tool, which is a cop-out, because then right after that they say we are also actively working to enhance our processes to handle any suspected abusive reports. It is 2023 and this problem is still going on. Now, I don't know if I have to keep going with this whole issue because I feel like I got my point across. I feel like there's nothing else that I can point to. Let me see. I mean, there's a lot more I can point to, but this has went on for longer than I even thought it was going to go. But, you know, I feel like this is something that a lot of people need to know because a lot of content creators are going to be out there wondering why the podcast is going to take it down when they're just covering tracks or they're covering games and they're just going to, well, not games, but they're covering music tracks without playing any music, and it's going to be like taken down simply off of the algorithm, the systematic review looking at the title. They're not going to listen to the podcast at all. It's just going to flag it down and take down the whole podcast with no notice, no anything. And then the ending of the article says, often playlists are curated by independent artists and labels who are looking to promote themselves and get their music discovered, only to have their work taken down immediately, without any sort of review process that could sort legitimate reports from bot-driven abuse. Bot-driven is the key word, I think, in that. Curators complain that Spotify has been dismissing their cries for help for far too long. Boy, have they. I can attest to that. And Spotify's vague and non-committal response about a coming solution only validates those complaints further. Well, now I can get off my soapbox or whatever they call it. What is it? A soapbox? I don't know. I think that's what they call it. But basically, I had some other things. I had some actual reviews, not reviews, but people who went through this problem. Like one person said, this is just a random person on Reddit. I'm not gonna say like random like it's a bot, but it's just some random person. Cause I want to look into this issue even deeper, right? So I looked up some actual people on this site, and let me see if I can make this, bring this over here for my YouTube and Twitch people. All right. So Anchor just deleted my podcast because it's music and gave no warning or anything about it. Man, do I feel you. Now I'm looking to migrate, and I heard that Red Circle, Sound, FM, and Speaker are good. Do they also have this insane policy of delete first, ask questions later? In fact, do any hosting sites have this policy? That's a great question. And guess what I found throughout the replies? A lot of people was going through the same thing, and even one person said, I think it's towards the bottom. Okay, yeah, right here. Somebody said if you use the Anchor app to make your podcast, then you can add copyrighted music to your podcast if it is linked to play from Spotify. And he also said if Spotify have a contract with Sony, CBS, or whoever, then they can't turn a blind eye to copyright infringement, irrespective of how big or small a podcast is. They allow you to include music, but on their terms. I think that's pretty much a good deal. And so it's not all like one-sided. I don't want to make it sound like that, but and another person said harsh but not unexpected. Did you use the music playlist feature in Anchor where you add the music from Spotify Premium users, or was the music embedded in the MP3 episode? So I think that's another poignant point. And then what else? There's another thing. So it's not all just one-sided, but delete first without warning is rare, though within the rights of the host if they feel the content is not suitable for the platform. And he just left a period, so that's not correct grammar, so we just gonna move on. It's in the terms on Anchor that they will delete a podcast account without warning if copyrighted content is used. They are owned by Spotify, so it's not surprising. So basically, they're saying the delete without warning is in the, what he says, in the terms of service. Is that what he said? Yeah, it's in the terms. So obviously, it's something that Anchor can do, which is why at the top he basically said, I heard that Red Circle and Sound FM and Speaker are good, because he was going to move hosting services is what. That's definitely what I would suggest, because that's what I did. But there was another person. Let me see. There's another person that went through this. He said 2 weeks ago, my Anchor account and podcast were deleted without warning or reason. All my links were expunged except on Apple Podcasts for some strange reason. And that's another thing. If Anchor can take down your podcast, then how comes Apple Podcasts keeps it up, Amazon keeps it up? Because if you think about it, all my episodes are on Amazon. Like, all of them are. Like, Amazon is just like, hey, I mean, I ain't talked to Amazon, but basically, from what I'm seeing, it's like they're okay with it. Apple's okay with it, Stitcher. And I'm not talking like, oh, I'm breaking the law in these places, so that Spotify should let me. Basically, under the way that I review music and just list the track names, it should not be taken down, because all these other platforms have it up, and only Spotify targets listings like this and playlist curators. You wonder why Spotify's coming up in this and not other. Like, you will be hard pressed to find Red Circle just deleted my podcast, or what's another one? I don't know any other podcasts. I'm not even trying to be funny. I don't know any other podcasts and hosts, but yeah, basically you won't find anything else except for Anchor and Spotify, because basically Spotify owns Anchor, if you didn't know that. So yeah, this is not surprising, man. Let me keep going with his Reddit comment. I have submitted an official request 4 times, no response. I feel you. I tried speaking with someone on their contact us chat bubble, and the bubble deactivated and went offline. I also had that happen before. Now that's infuriating. I'm not gonna lie. Going into a chat bubble, asking a question, and them deactivating it, it's like, and then doing it again, and then getting the vague response like I showed you in the email, and then them deactivating it. It's like, bro, one of the higher ups is at Spotify telling everybody that if they even have titles of music, just take the podcast down. Which then you'll probably be like, why you even have the title of the music? Anyways, because if you're reviewing the track, you would want people to search up the right review. Like if I just put up analytic review for every single episode or every single song I've reviewed, it would be kind of hard to find that, wouldn't you say? But anyways, yeah, what else? And then he finished saying, I'm incredibly frustrated and depressed. Now I was never depressed because, you know, as long as I have my family with me, I'm never gonna be depressed. But I understand, you know, people have their different ways of reacting to things. So I was definitely frustrated personally, and I understand him being depressed. Has anyone else experienced such issues with Anchor? And then if you keep going down, somebody says Anchor users keep copying my podcast. Okay, well, I've had that happen before. You can easily take that down. What else? You mentioned music. Some Anchor does not own your material. Somebody said they tend to do the RSS feed, which is very much the podcast, so they take down the whole thing. Tried tweeting at Anchor. Somebody said, oh, this is a good one. Somebody said try tweeting at Anchor, right? Try tweeting at the Anchor Twitter account. And then somebody said, I did. They DM'd me. We shared info, and then they essentially ghosted me. No response for the rest of the day. It's almost like, bro, you hit a quota or a bonus if you get these questions and don't reply. It's like, oh, you didn't snitch. Good job. You didn't tell them that we trying to take down all popular curators. You know what I mean? Anyways, because that's basically what you're doing. When somebody comes and listens to your review for a track, you're basically curating their taste. Because I hate to say this, but I mean, not hate. Hate is a strong word. I strongly dislike to say this, but you know, most people are like sheep in the world. You know what I mean? They follow what they listen and they follow what they watch. And if you get a big enough following, they'll just automatically assume your opinion is what goes. You know? And obviously for me, I never think like that. Like when I upload something, I always say, you know, that's just my personal opinion. You know, music is subjective. I say that a lot when I'm covering music. Music is subjective, so what I'm saying is not like law. But anyways, some people run with it like it is. What else? Okay, he said he tweeted at them. They ghosted him. He said, but the response so far has really ruined my faith in the response team. It's completely frustrating to just be left out, no explanation. Man, if there was a exchange that hit home for me, is this right here, man. Is this exchange right here? Well, highlighting all that doesn't help. But basically look at the start of this all the way down. It's I would definitely say it's very disheartening for an up and coming content creator to get taken down by Spotify simply for the fact that their review process is inadequate and they always delete first and ask questions later. I think that's the worst thing you could do for an up and coming podcast creator. Myself, I feel like I'm good in general. You know what I mean? Like the different social medias that are going, especially my YouTube. Don't forget to follow my YouTube, shameless plug, Analytic Dreams. But that's doing well right now as far as the clips and stuff. But yeah, that would just be discouraging, man, to not be making an impact on any other social medias. And the one way you're making an impact on podcasting to be taken down, no questions asked. I could see how they'll put somebody in a dark, depressing state of mind. You know what I mean? for me personally, the way I took it was, you get knocked down, but you get back up. You get knocked down 10 times, you get up 11. You know what I mean? That's how I approach life in general. So this wasn't really that big for me, and that's the first time it got taken down. That's around the time where I start my YouTube channel. Because if you look at when my YouTube was started, Analytic Dreams, another shameless plug. It didn't start too long ago. I started there like 5-6 months ago, and then look at it now. It's like past like what we had like 3-4 million views, probably even more than that. Like it's a reason why. Like some people are called like streamers, and some people are called YouTubers, and then there's like your content creator. And I feel like, I mean, not to brag, I'm not bragging at all. I'm just trying to make it in a way that you understand that some people have that one lane, and if that gets taken down, bro, that could lead to like severe depression from that person. So yeah, I'm just trying to speak up for the people who's going through this. So anyways, that's basically it, man. I'm not gonna go for an hour talking about this. I'm glad I talked about it as long as I did. I ain't know. I thought, like I said, when I first got on here, for the people listening live, I said I was gonna make it quick, and this is not quick. But we're definitely gonna get into new music. I'm probably gonna take a little break and then come back to that. But for the people listening after the fact on the podcast platforms, click my link tree in my bio and let me know on one of my social medias, as you can see in the bottom middle, for Twitch and YouTube. But for my people listening on my podcast platforms, you won't be able to see it. And for the people over at Wisdom, make sure to click my socials to follow my latest posts and let me know, what do you think about Spotify abusing its power against playlist curators? And who do you think's in the wrong, Spotify or the independent playlist curators? Alrighty. Well, that was my Spotify speech. That's crazy. Man, I didn't drop my chapstick, man. I was gonna use that. That's crazy. Uh, um, yeah, so I'm gonna come back. Of course, I may take a little stretch break. You know what I'm saying? Man, hunching over into the second mic for Wisdom. Man, hopefully y'all enjoyed this over at Wisdom. I don't know if y'all do. For people tuning in live over at Wisdom, hopefully y'all enjoy this. If anybody want to join as a guest to give you a 2 cents or whatever I talked about, feel free to do that. There's definitely an open space, open dialogue. For the people over at YouTube and Twitch, I appreciate y'all for hanging with us. Of course it'll be uploaded as an after the fact on YouTube and Twitch as an archive. But for people listening live on Wisdom, just know that I usually go live Thursdays all the time to cover new music. And so I really wanted to cover the Spotify versus playlist curators, which is why I did this at the beginning. I did not know it was going to go this long, but at the end of the day, I'm going to cover new music, and it usually takes like well into the morning. So yeah, I'll definitely be back, and we'll continue the music review from there. So anyways, if nobody has anything to say over at Wisdom, then I'll probably wrap this up. Seems like nobody has any 2 cents to add, which is okay. We 31 deep in Wisdom, so I definitely appreciate all the people who took the time out of their night, almost morning, to listen to me rant about Spotify. It wasn't a rant because I had articles and stuff to back it up, but my whole soliloquy on Spotify. Let's label it like that. So until next time, I'm out. All right, 58 minutes and 42 seconds. Goodness. All right, for my people over at Twitch and YouTube, I'm about to get off too. I'll be back, hopefully, to cover new music. You already know how that goes. If you've been here, if you haven't, then you'll find out how that goes. Let me see. I know people join from Twitch. I just know, I know y'all held me down. Let me see. I ain't gonna lie, Wisdom killing y'all over there. Like, we was 31 deep. I mean, I know that may not be a lot to some people, but you gotta start somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Okay. My returners. Okay. Lisi Dra, appreciate you. Drap Snap, Kata, I think I already shouted you out. Dream Fur. Hopefully I said that right. I don't even know. Valentina Carres, appreciate you. 01 Ella, all my returners over at Twitch. I do recognize your names. For the people over at YouTube, I can't read names at YouTube, so not like I can't read. I'm not Floyd Mayweather, but If you come over to Twitch, I'll be able to read your name, but not on YouTube. I don't know why, but you know, that's how they have it. So I'll be back probably in like, give me like 20, 30 minutes, you know what I mean, to stretch, do some cartwheels and stuff, you know what I mean? And I'll come back with new music. Basically, I do have to listen to new music, you know what I mean? It doesn't just listen to itself. But all right. I'll be back soon, hopefully. And hopefully y'all like my Spotify soliloquy. If you did, leave a like, share this, subscribe, of course. Follow my social medias in my bottom middle. Okay. All right, that's enough plugs. That's enough shameless plugs. All right. I'll see y'all next time. Or I'll see y'all later this morning. I don't know, man. Y'all get the point. I'm out.